This episode of Come to Therapy with Me is possible thanks to Pediasure, the health shake that helps your fussy eater improve their appetite in 4 weeks. I'll tell you more shortly, but please remember that Pediasure is food for special medical purposes and use Pediasure only under medical supervision.
Nine podcasts.
Hey, Nicolina here. Oh, that little guy? That's my little boy Noah.
You can cry all you want.
Yep, that's also him. Motherhood. How is it? Us mums spend all day loving our kid only to have them throw themselves on the floor in a tantrum, screaming for hours every night. We yearn for a good night's sleep, but we stay up all night worried if they're breathing, functioning. What is wrong with us? Yet despite all this, I'm now pregnant with my second. Yeah, also not sure that was a good idea. Doesn't being a mum feel like you've thrown yourself out of a plane for a skydive that you have absolutely no equipment for? I mean, surely I'm not the only one fully freaking out here. I need help. That's the honest truth. So I'm turning to therapy to deal with all the anxiety, the worries, the blues that come along with the most important role of my life.
Oh, God. The boogers. Oh, gosh.
I went through postnatal depression once and I'm not going there again. So come and join me. Sit with me each week as I go through the wild motions of motherhood and try to figure out how the hell I can navigate through these rough seas. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Come to Therapy with Me. If it can help me, it can help you too. And boy, do I need help.
Don't do it, Noah. Noah?
Keep in mind this is general advice only. This podcast is not intended as a substitute for medical advice and should not be relied on to manage or diagnose a medical condition.
I would never want Noah to know this as well, but I feel like all my postnatal experience with him stole those first few months with him. I just tried so hard every day to snap out of it, and I know that I left it too late to get help, and I'm thankful that I eventually came out of it, but I feel like I can't even forgive myself for the fact that I lost that time with him to appreciate him.
So I'm about to sit down with my therapist, Charisse. It's a Monday afternoon. I'm 26 weeks pregnant with my second child. And I'm really nervous as I have to confront what was the hardest time in my life, the postnatal depression I experienced after the birth of Noah.
Oh, hey, Instagram. I feel like I haven't done a story in a very long time because I have become a mum. Parenting is a wild ride. It's like, I'm not gonna lie, it's like being hit by a bus in the first few weeks.
The first 8 weeks with him was just a massive blur. It's a time I wish I could forget, but I fear that I will relive it with my second baby. It's something I really need to talk about. I need a process and I need to heal from it. Come sit with me as I do all of that.
What did those early postpartum weeks look like / feel like for you? How would you describe it?
I felt like I just regretted my decision
To have a
to
baby?
have a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, that sounds so bad. That sounds so bad, like when I say it. But that's like the only way that I could describe it because do you know what it was? I was more sad about where I was at that stage in life than I was happy. And that's where I felt like a really big imbalance.
Yes. So more sad in the sense of what on earth have I just done?
Yeah.
Sad in the sense of has life changed in an irreversible kind of way?
Yeah.
And where has my happiness gone?
Yeah.
That's confronting, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's hard to say out loud.
Yeah, and I felt terrible. I felt like I was being really, really selfish. I felt really, selfish. What was even harder was, in a sense, comparing myself to my husband who was the complete opposite.
Yeah.
You know, dealing with the stress really well.
Yeah.
And looking at every happy moment during the day. I was very much like a glass is half full.
Yep.
Sorry, glass is half empty.
Yes.
And you are glass is half
was...
full because I do not see like what you're seeing.
Yeah.
So that made me feel even worse.
100%. Because you would have been looking at him thinking, well, how are you enjoying all of this? And why am I not enjoying this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How can I get my husband on the same page as me? Because like I know he doesn't feel like I feel, and I know he doesn't feel my feelings, and I know that he doesn't, you know, he didn't relate exactly to how I'm feeling.
Okay, yeah.
But I want him to understand it more in a way. So then, I'm not saying that he is my therapist and he should be helping me, but at least then I could have someone, you know, that could say, I get it.
There you go. You've answered your question.
Because, you know, I get it. And like, you're not a bad person. That would be great if somebody said that to me.
Yes, exactly. I think what we need from our partners is, one, we need to feel heard. We all want to feel heard, right? And I mean, it's tricky, right? Because sometimes we tell someone how we're feeling, and a natural human response is to go into fix-it mode. Well, I need to like try and make you feel better or solve the problem or get a solution for you, which is often the last thing we actually need. We just need to feel heard. Yeah. So I would be saying to your husband now in the lead up, if I come to you and I tell you I'm feeling whatever, what I need from you is for you to say, so Nicolina or honey, babe, what you're telling me is that you're feeling really flat right now and you're looking at our baby and thinking, what have we just done? I hear you.
Yeah.
And then he will say that and you will go, oh.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we have an immediate sense of relief because essentially he's heard you.
Yeah.
And he's reflected back exactly what you've just said to him in his own words.
Yeah, because one thing that really like frustrated me is when people said, oh, it's going to be okay. Just that line.
Why did that frustrate you? What was it about that?
I think, one, it felt like those people were just saying like a general saying. They had no idea how I was feeling. They just thought that that was what they were meant to say. So there was no meaning behind it. And two, I just thought, well, you don't know that it's going to be okay. Yeah.
Where's your crystal ball?
I don't know it's going to be okay. And what does okay look like? It was what is okay? Because I've forgotten now because my life's completely changed and I don't even remember what was an okay period.
No, exactly.
It made me like really angry when people said that to
100%. Yeah. People think they're being helpful because they're kind of jollying you along.
Yeah.
But equally, as you would need from your husband, what you needed from those other people was for them to say, yeah, it's really tough right now, isn't it? I get it. This motherhood, early newborn phase is challenging.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's normal. Or, hey, tell me a bit more about that. You're telling me you're struggling with this. What does that look like for you? Yeah.
When I was in that state of constant sadness, for me, it felt like a bit of a cycle.
Yes.
So I would wake up in the morning and I would, as per, you know, the advice from friends and family, I would wake up and just say, today's going to be a great day. Like give myself a pep talk. I'd sometimes read an affirmation. Or I just try and set like the mood for myself.
Yes.
But no matter how I did that or for how long I did that in the morning, I think by, you know, like an hour later, I would be gone. At rock bottom again or what felt like rock bottom again.
Yes.
And so for me, it felt like I just, the reason it was an issue and it wasn't me being myself and going through natural emotions like a normal human does is because I literally couldn't control the sadness.
Yes.
So I felt like I was failing every single day because I would get up and I would try and tell myself that I'm okay.
Come on.
And then it would come over me like a storm that I couldn't push away.
Yes.
And then there goes another day for me. And it felt like
And I failed
every time it
again.
happened, a day was like thrown in the bin.
Yeah.
And I was still in the same spot.
Yes.
And every day was the same. I mean, different times of the storm rolling in. But
yes.
yeah, what is something that I could do? Because I felt like that was impractical advice. I just felt like me telling myself not to feel how I was feeling was not helping.
It was unhelpful, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes there's a place for affirmations, absolutely, and a place for pep talks.
Yeah.
If we just lean on affirmations and pep talks, we do run the risk of not actually acknowledging the reality of what's happening. So what I would maybe substitute that with is trying to cultivate a curious mind. So a curious mind is one that would say, I don't know what today is going to look like. I have no idea actually, because I'm not a fortune teller and I have no crystal ball, but I will wonder. I will wonder what today will look like. So maybe I would wake up in the morning and say exactly that. I wonder what today will look like. I wonder how I will feel today. Already we've set the scene to have primed ourselves to watch out for feelings as they visit without judgment throughout the day. And then what I would be doing is checking in with myself throughout the day. How am I feeling right now? What's happening for me in this moment? Where's my mind? What thoughts am I playing? What judgments am I making of myself and how good or how much I'm failing at this? How am I feeling? And what's happening with Noah at that point, or my baby? And then I would ask, and what's required of me in this moment? Do I need to actually just grab a box of tissues and sit down and have a good old sob?
And is that normal? Because I cried like so much. I just cried all the time.
Did you?
And I felt like there was something wrong with me because I would just sit there crying as I held him and breastfed him, and then my husband would come home and just ask me how the day was, and I would just start crying.
More waterworks. Yeah.
And I just thought I was completely broken.
You would have
Like I
felt
was
completely broken.
A broken human.
Yeah. And I think that's where it feels when our mood shifts into that space, when it does feel like it's out of our control and that the tears and the emotions and the sadness are all consuming. I think at that point, absolutely, I would be wanting to talk to someone.
Yeah.
I would be saying to you, if I was in your ear at that point, Nicolina,
Wish you were.
I think it's really time to go and talk, because when we talk things through, we process and we make sense of feelings. We make sense of experience. But when we're in it and we're feeling I would be more worried if someone was coming in saying, I just can't stop crying.
Yeah.
And I feel really out of control and flat and low more often than I feel okay.
And people do, because people do say that. I'm just asking because I just don't want to be like, I don't want to feel like I'm the only one that goes through it.
I think over the years, stigma we're starting to make headroads. But yeah, I think there definitely is this stigma that says you have a baby and you feel really joyful and happy and it's the best time of your life, right? Where the reality is, I mean, that's great when it does happen, but it doesn't happen all the time either.
Yeah.
And that's where we need to give permission to say, actually, this really sucks. This is really hard. I'm not enjoying any of this right now.
Yeah.
Right? And we can own it, and then we can do something with it. Oh, and we feel instant relief. This is a bloody nightmare.
Yeah.
Oh, I love my baby. It doesn't mean I don't love my baby. Doesn't mean I don't want to be a mum, right?
Yeah.
Because that was not your experience.
No.
You loved Noah. But also there's this space of, but I don't feel like I'm loving this experience. It's important to say this stuff out loud, 100%. Also, what we find is the more we start talking about this, the more mothers come out of the woodwork and go, oh my goodness, I felt that way too. Or I didn't feel exactly that, but I felt this.
Yeah.
And then we have conversation.
Well, I think when I had Noah, it all kind of fell secondary. So I just wasn't
on the radar.
Yeah, I wasn't on the radar. Whereas, he's much older now. So it's good because I do prioritize my time, like giving myself me time.
Great.
I do things that make me happy.
Great.
Like I'm a very social person, so I make time for my friends, which I know that will recharge me some days. Like a really good catch up with my friends. Like nothing beats that.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think I need to be able to continue that as best as possible, knowing in reality I'll be a bit
Oh.
short on time.
Exactly. It's not going to look.
Yeah.
It's not going to look like what it does now, right?
Yeah.
As you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But knowing that and just accepting that, I think, is important for me.
I feel like I've only just scratched the surface here. I've got so many more questions and I'm going to jump into them in just a moment. All parents want to know their child has a balanced diet, but it can be extra challenging with a fussy eater. That's where Pediasure may help. It's a health shake for fussy eater kids and helps improve appetite in 4 weeks. Your child will love the vanilla, strawberry, and chocolate flavours, and there are more serving ideas in the free recipe book at pediasure.com.au. Remember that Pediasure is food for special medical purposes and use only under medical supervision. Buy in quality pharmacies.
Something that I am struggling with that I'd like to deal with now before I get into the second baby is like a little, it's really hard to talk to because I feel like
I would never want Noah to know this as well, but I feel like all my postnatal experience with him stole like those first few months with him.
Yeah.
And I feel like because I just couldn't snap out of it. I just tried so hard every day to snap out of it. And I know that I left it too late to get help. And I'm thankful that I eventually came out of it. But I feel like I just can't, like I can't even forgive myself for the fact that I lost that time with him to appreciate him.
Yeah.
And sometimes I even look at photos of him as a newborn and it's like,
you don't remember that
I
time.
don't. I see them and like obviously I love him and I feel those feelings, but it brings me back to all that, just like the horrible time. And I really don't want that to happen with my second child. I just want to, like from day one, just like love every moment because I just like I'll never be able to get that time back.
Yeah. And I think it's such a horrendous experience to go through, and you feel, I can tell it's very vulnerable even to speak about it now 15 months on, right? And those feelings, we learn to make sense of it in a different way, but the feelings stay very raw, don't they? Yeah. And this is the tricky part when we are in that early postpartum, and yes, it feels like we're working so hard to just get on top of things because we know we want to be feeling a different way. And it does. When we feel really low, flat, depressed, bluey, whatever you want to call it, it really does limit our ability to connect and be present. Depression really robs that from us, particularly, and that's at the most tricky time when we're having to care for another little person. So for you to be sitting here and acknowledging that right now is quite significant. It's quite huge. And it doesn't mean you didn't love Noah, doesn't mean you didn't love being a mum to him. It was just a really hard pocket of time.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like I go through some photos on my phone or like little videos, and those are sometimes like the only memories I have that were like really good during that time. It's weird, in my brain I remember even the moment Noah was born, and like that is such a vivid memory, and it was so happy and so amazing, and like we were so excited. We didn't know the gender, so like we found out the gender. It was so amazing.
Euphoric.
And then I feel like I have like a gap in
a gap in your memories.
Yeah. So I have like small little, bits and pieces, of course, like when my mum met him and little things like that. But like nowhere near the pure, like joyful moments that I remember now. I can remember 5 things he did today that were amazing. Yeah. And so that's really, I feel like
that sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really sucks.
First of all, we would say you've had your baby for euphoric space that you were in, and then your mood plummeted, and then we almost go into a little bit of shock, right?
Yeah.
Shock, and we stop processing things. We almost shut down. That's why we can't remember. You were there and you were present, but we can't remember what's happened. This time around, we have a bit more of a sense of what we're in for.
Yeah.
The shock might still sit there. This is where we would say now we need to use our strategies of grounding ourselves. So really pulling back into the present. We can do that when we are aware of how we're feeling as well. Right now, I just feel really whatever. What part of this moment feels okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to really pay attention as best I can to this part because I've already acknowledged the parts that don't feel okay. Does that make sense? If we don't acknowledge those parts that don't feel okay, we have such limited capacity to do anything else.
I was thinking of even, I don't know if this is a good idea, but like even with baby number 2, writing down some good moments so that, like in a sense, journaling. I've never been a big journaler.
Okay, yeah.
But I feel like it might just like, you know, just in a preventative measure, you know, being able to just refer to and also maybe I thought if I could write down some good moments in the day, then because in my head there's no good moments.
Boom, exactly.
When I'm feeling down. There's nothing today went right.
No.
That's how it felt. But if I write down in the moment even the smallest of things, maybe then I'll feel better about it.
And that's what depression does, right?
Yeah.
It's a black blanket. And that's when we know things. This is a big warning sign. Nothing feels okay. Nothing feels good. If that is your experience, 100% you need to talk to someone.
Yeah.
It won't just lift on its own. But absolutely, writing that stuff down, what I call it is we go pounding for gold. So we pick up all the shit in the muddiness of the day and we shake it all around and there's a tiny little gold speck, but it's there, right?
Yeah.
It exists.
Feels tiny, definitely
Tiny.
sometimes.
Tiny. Yeah, but we also go into it knowing that it's going to be tough. It's going to be challenging. There will be days that I just feel utterly disgusting and overwhelmed. But even within those days, I will just look for those tiny moments. Even if you can't write it down, talking to your phone in a note. This moment just felt really good because blah, blah, blah. Or this moment felt less rubbishy because of blah, blah, blah. Yeah, absolutely. So there's that reminder. Oh, okay. I can stretch back out into seeing the okay parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like one thing I don't want to think about is the birth because I now know what birth is like. I will admit. Yeah, birth is something I loved being ignorant going into birth with the first. And now I'm a little more
ignorance.
Oh no, I know all about that. I know the magic of an epidural, so that's great. That's really good.
And we do know that birth is time limited.
Yes.
Right? We actually do know that.
It's got to get out.
The baby will be born in some way.
So that's really good to know.
Yeah.
But I'm so excited for it. And that's the thing. There's so many emotions. I'm so excited.
Yes.
To meet him. It's another boy. Which is exciting.
Congratulations.
Yeah. I'm very glad that this time around I know that I'm a normal person having a second baby and I need to be able to just be human and like experience whatever comes around.
That's it. Welcome it. Yeah. Welcome it. Yeah. See it what it is, and then we can figure out what to do with it. I think it's so important for women, and there's just not access to it, but being able to access groups or sessions which aren't just focused on the birth, right? I think during pregnancy, so much prenatal stuff focused on how you birth a baby, which is great, fabulous. We need to know that. But there's not a lot of stuff focused on what are the psychological transitions?
Yeah.
How will you feel emotionally? What are you expecting that you didn't even know you were expecting?
And I felt like nothing at the hospital was about me.
Yes.
So, you know, in my couple days after giving birth, it was all about the baby, which I know,
it has to be in some regard.
I know I have to figure out the feeding. I know I have to figure out all of that, but nothing was in reference to what I was going through at all. That's, I think, where I first started to feel really, really lonely.
Yeah, because it was not even acknowledged.
Yeah. And I couldn't say something, because if it was important, then someone would be telling me.
There you go.
So it doesn't seem very important, Nikki. That's what that's what I felt like.
It's almost reinforced that position of yours, just to zip up, don't say anything. I just need to just get through this. Maybe this is just how I'm meant to be feeling. Yeah, there's a bit of a flaw there, isn't there?
Yeah.
In preparing our mums.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is maybe what you can expect. All of this whole range of emotion is very normal. Imagine if you'd known that going into it. If someone said, hey, Nikki, it's really possible that you might get really anxious post-birth. It's possible that your mood might like flatline.
Yeah.
And it's possible that you're going to birth your baby and look at him or her and kind of feel no attachment or bond in that particular moment. And that's okay, because a lot of women don't bond straight away with their babies and it takes time. And you're going to do this and this. Right? If we go into it with that landscape, we have our babies and we have that little voice in our ear going, oh, I remember. I think this is like to be expected. Or someone said, if I'm feeling really flat and not quite myself, I should maybe speak to someone, because we need to do something with that. Yeah?
Yeah. So many pamphlets as well that I went home with about Noah, you know, and about what colour poo he had to have, and then there was just nothing about like what I was meant to be doing or how I was meant to
What about my
feeling,
mood?
but
Yes. If I'm feeling this way, what do I do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And can I ask, is there like, especially in that first, I think, week or two, which is, I felt like the most chaotic.
Yeah.
Is there something I should do, for example, every day that could just, I know you mentioned the questions I should ask just about how I'm feeling, but is there something that I could do as a bit of a routine or just as a bit of a check-in with myself?
Yeah, and I think that might look different for everyone depending on, because everyone will feel nourished in different ways, right? But definitely check in with feelings, with thoughts, with what's happening in your moment. I would be holding a space there to say something like, I give permission for whatever to turn up, and I will do my best not to judge myself on whatever is turning up, but also coming back to the lifestyle stuff. So some people will say, actually, it's really important that I check in. Have I eaten today?
Yeah.
When's the last time I had a big drink of water? Have I had a shower? Have I moved my body at all? Have I done, some women will say, whenever I get the moment, I stand up and I just stretch and I pull my shoulders up and I roll my shoulders back, or I do like 2 minutes of breathing.
Yeah.
Oh, whatever it is to nourish, we need to be doing that thing and exploiting it. Yeah.
It's funny you say shower, because I felt like when I had a shower, it was the best time, because it was just this quiet time to myself. But at the same time, I felt like, well, why is this the best moment of the day, you know? And then, you know, it's like but yeah, it's hard because I knew I needed that 20 minutes and it was super valuable.
100%.
I also felt really fresh, you know, like a shower just rejuvenates
washes.
You. But I also got out and thought, oh, well, you know, that was the best part of my day and now I'm back
and now I feel like rubbish.
But but I think it's that mindset of just like, even if I tell myself that I deserve that shower, rather than I'm taking it as if some sort of like like I feel guilty that I'm taking a break now and I'm leaving him for 20 minutes.
Yes, I would reframe that to say, I actually need this shower.
Yeah.
And if this is the best 20 minutes of my day, then I'm actually going to really enjoy this 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Because it actually means nothing more, nothing less, right? It's the judgment we put around that that's the problem.
Yeah.
But if we go, this is the best 20 minutes of my day, because in these 20 minutes, I don't need to be anything to anyone. I can just be. And that's a relief, because I've actually been on for the last 23 hours giving and giving and giving and being touched and doing something for someone else, that actually I'm allowed to take 20 minutes. I actually need to take, not allowed, I actually need this. And I probably need more of that scattered throughout my day, to be perfectly honest. And do this now during pregnancy. Figure out, what are the things that nourish me? What are my go-tos? Because when I'm postpartum and I'm sleep deprived and I'm busy looking after a baby, I'm probably not going to remember some of that stuff. I'm definitely not going to remember it if my mood is low.
Yeah.
So I need to know it beforehand.
If I'm going to do any homework this week, that's what it's going to be.
Definitely.
Okay, so lesson 1 is more showers. Thanks for sitting in with me. I hope you'll join me next time. Come to Therapy with Me is hosted by me, Nicolina. And if you ever want to connect, find me on Instagram at HeyNicolinaK. My wonderful therapist is Dr. Charisse. This is a 9 Podcasts original production.
In the next episode of Come to Therapy with Me.
How do I explain it? Like, I was obsessed with him, but I wasn't.
Yes.
I didn't feel like, oh my gosh, this is like the greatest moment of my life.
Yes. And I think this is the tricky thing, right? We have this idea that just because we have a baby, we all of a sudden feel like a mother.
Yeah.
And we often reflect on, well, when does a woman become a mother? Is it at the time of conception? Is it before conception? Is it at the time of birth? Or does it actually sometimes take time?
Finding a therapist that's right for you can take a little time, but when it comes to ensuring your fussy eater is eating right, Pediasure health shakes may make the whole process easier. Pediasure contains 28 essential vitamins and minerals, including iron and zinc, that help to support a healthy appetite in 4 weeks. You can download a recipe book with ideas for the school lunchbox and also read product info at pediasure.com.au. Pediasure is food for special medical purposes and is available at quality pharmacies. Use only under medical supervision.